It is 12 midnight in New York. It is 12 noon in Beijing. It is just gone 6 a.m. Central African time in Babane in the Kingdom of Eswatini. It is also 6 a.m. Central Daylight Time in Gaza. Good morning and welcome to the Friday edition of Kusile Breakfast Show. Coming to you live from our Hospital Hill studios in Babane. It is Friday the 22nd of March. It is World TB Day in Eswatini. The actual day is on the 24th. Yeah.
The same way it's going to be Earth Day this weekend. It should be tomorrow. The actual day should be tomorrow, but the Earth Hour walk, Begum Somlu, I want to believe it was on Monday when you had Constance Banzuida. But which I believe you will delve deeper into them. LinkedIn panje. Ukujesta kubuka lomuhla indzaba yetemidlalo lesikanje kucala ngako sikubuke kakhulu indzaba lathi LinkedIn akafuni ngathi sishayela tandla kakhulu indzaba ukuthi ikhethelo lesive sihlangu semnikati lishaye iSomalia uthi ke LinkedIn ngeke sijudgeliswe kushaya abantu labanethi dressed abo Al-Shabaab labantu laba bakhona nekujima kahle, so it was a given le win lena sithi ke thine kufuna sikucelebrate ngoba na uyodlala umdlalo ngente kudliwe ngente kuwina siyabona nje amaqembu lamancane la ngathi relegate washaya amaqembu la at the top of the log standings wena ungacabanga ukuthi na uyodlala le game leyo ukuthi hawo iwin seyivele obvious kungakona naba lababhejako bahle badliwe ama-tickets. So we do want to celebrate that win and look at the second leg lefuna kenyalo salo ihostwa ngithi sihlangu semnikati solo sidlala nayo iSomalia sidlala nayo nje bezidlala nayo eMorocco lapho khona bese hostwe ngiyo ke iSomalia. So now for the second leg, we are going to host them. We're also going to look at some of the international friendlies. La Kubegako, siyade ukuthi ikhona imidlalo ledlaliwe but ngisafuna kubuka naye lesetawudlalwa kunama game lamakhulu kakhulu la very interesting bo England basetawudlala nabo Spain basetawudlala kanti ke sathi nasuka lapho sibuke some of the log standings ahead of ukubuya kwawo ema league sitaqala lapha ekhaya siqhubekele ke sibuke eNingizimu Afrika sihambe siye bo English Premier League ema league lesikhathi kusatawubuya on the weekend of the 30th. We do want to look at all those issues.
Okay, bongesile sikhathi sitawubuka nje leto lethi hamba phambili kuwo emaphephandaba live la kaNgwane namuhla. Sitawugijima sibuke liphephandaba le Times of Eswatini ukuthi ke ngiphi indzaba lebagijima ngayo namhla ekseni kuthiwa ke how Sandile visited exponent SA granted license. Indzaba ke i-anti-corruption iya-alleja ukuthi wahamba njani Sandile bekaza ngomphathi ke wa FSRA kuya ke eNingizimu Afrika udibana nebaphathi baka exponent nakabuya baseke bayagrantwa i-license ngemva ukuthi balelwe emahlandla lamabili. Le indzaba lo tayithola ke kuyo iTimes of Eswatini. Kuthiwa ke mbonga uluwinile licala lapha e-Industrial Court keba ke uhulumende ufake ke isicelo enkantolo yemacala lendlulisiwe. Le indzaba leyo senators call for GBV to be non-bailable offense. Athi ke dithi ke imbonga umvulo ophula umthetho noma ka sithi nje leya ngoba i-GBV sifiso i-under i-SODV.
Yes.
Kuthiwa ke akuyibe akangayitholi i-bail. Kanti ke inyukile i-unemployment rate eSwatini njengoba seyime ku 35.4%, inyuke ke nga 2.1%. Lisoja kunelisoja letibuleleke soldier shoots himself dead at army camp.
Yeah, LinkedIn kule story is former FSRA boss. Kunenzaba lana ukuthi uthi yena akabonanga nakungena imali lenganga 117,000 account yakhe. Ngoba yayingena it was like a drop in an ocean awuboni ngisho seyikhona. Kunento angifisa ukuthi nje nakungafika kule level yokuthi nakungangena imali lengako ngingaboni ukuthi ingenile LinkedIn. It was very interesting kuva that part of that story, but ke sichubeke sibuke emidlalo Times of Eswatini making the leading story this morning. Eswatini sprinters shine on big stage. Bongiziwe Swazibold cruise to finals. Siyathola ke ukuthi ama sprinters la ekhathi bonke mahlalela Sibusiso Swazibold Matsenjwa, they qualified for the African Games finals of the 200-meter races respectively. qualify in the ongoing African Games in Ghana. They both booked their finals slots elangeni ke la itolo nzambama. Kanzi-ke kulenye indzaba, it's not yet over according to the Somalia coach. Uyayivakela indzaba. Somalia national team head coach Rachid Lustek expressed optimism that his team could still overcome the first leg deficit. Somalia ke sasenalo lethemba ukuthi isengatigucula tintfo isishaya isihlangu semnikati ngamagoli encenye lasengetulu kwalawa sihlangu lesiwashayile. Kulenye ke screamer recovering after robbery shooting izaba lendeke eJozi lapho khona licembu le-Orlando Pirates lithi itolo that former Bafana head coach and Buccaneers technical director Stendi Screamer Chabalala was shot during a house break-in at his home on Wednesday. Ngegcina Safa Real Dwabas rallying call.
Sekubeka ke sibuka iEswatini Observer ex-FSRA boss utholeke 50,000 bail utholeke imvume yokuthi ke atokele ngaphandle njoba uphenyelwa ke iCentral Bank of Eswatini investigator ukuthi wafika kanjani lo 117,000 emalangeni lekaMthola. I am made exponent scapegoat soloke uyachubeka ukuthi hawu ubhotwa ngemsobho nje inyama akake waze wayithinza ikhona ke nalenza bayambongwa ukuthi uwinile kepha ke uhulumende ufake isicelo ngajele emacala entusiwe. World Bank nebaka UN endorsed inkundla system because base thumbs up ngetinkundla system baka ya UN baka World Bank mbethe stays suspended ngikusho kwayo inkantolo.
Siqhubeka sibuke temidlalo eSwatini Observer lomuhla kongolesihlanu ekseni indzaba lehamba embili. Coach warns his sihlangu charges. It is not over yet. Says players can't relax because it's only half time. He's happy with the performance. Wants players to guard against complacency. Second leg next Tuesday at Mbombela Stadium. My sentiments that were shared by Sihlangu head coach Dominic Gunene ahead of their win against Somalia Morocco. Nyendzaba Ikapot pens short-term contract with Eswatini. Ikapot who is the former Manzini Wanderers coach, Siamatu Masocha. He has penned a short-term contract with the Eswatini United, formerly known as the News.
Sekubeka ke bongo sina today hamba phambili kumaphephandaba Eswatini Daily News hamba ngendzaba lethi Taiwan donates TVET equipment worth over 3 million. Ya kuGwamile Voc team sebelebe ukhona ke itolo banayo nabo indzaba letsinza FSRA kulawo ma corruption charges labhekene nawo. Exponent 340 million scandal takes new twist. Yeah, okay, lengikhona ukumbona the new FSRA board Ngamiso ungesekudla sale TV yakho. Who's that guy?
The one on the pixelated photo. Okay. I have no idea, but I was hoping to see Kamala Kelta Palo like description.
Yeah, ngoba lo mnyangcamiso. Lolophethe lo FSRA. Nyalo.
Yeah, anyways, kwekele bilisibuke temidlalo nakhona ba beke tithombe lapha. But a big proposal on the cards as a 16-team PLE next season. That's a question. Some teams are lobbying for a 16-team Premier League for next season. There will not be any relegation this year. The matter is set for discussion in the PLE Board of Governors meeting this Saturday. Against about 60,000 Malangeni major boost for Sihlangu players. From the international front, Robinho must serve rape sentence in Brazil. LinkedIn labadlali baseBrazil kungathi balandzelwa ngamabhadi ngoba ukukhumbula ukuthi Ronaldinho once had a similar scandal. Dani Alves is facing one of the very same scandals. Now it's Robinho.
I-lifestyle yabo bathanza kuphatha kakhulu because
ukhuluma ngekuphatha usho
lokho emaphathini kuma night clubs emgitsancu yes lokacabanyisa Pep Guardiola kuBarcelona na Ronaldinho kuphatha kakhulu
indlela leBrazil
indlela badlali baseBrazil nje lifestyle yabo inje kanti they've got great potential. In fact
they are the best
superstars.
Now in the history, some of the greatest players in football, the most decorated players.
But the generation now, let's say, the great Ronaldo,
of course,
Rivaldo, Roberto Carlos kusithi nasekuqhamuka le generation leqhamukako yabo Ronaldinho bona labo bona nabo
sebasha bonema
basha lapha niyo ke le genge lethanza kuya Manet Club yabo lamlambi la endawo la bakhalakhala
angikwadli kwemakhanza phame ngabutheka angikwadli into le anyway sesitabahlala emarket sitabuya sichubeke lehlelo
Vibes from Hoops. Studio One is back on your screens with brand new episodes. Brand new episodes. Catch your favorite local artists, live performances, your movers and shakers, the hustlers, doing the work. Entertainment news, local and international, nothing but fresh vibes every Saturday at 6 p.m. Let's go. What are you doing on a Saturday evening? We got nothing but the best. Vibes from Hoops.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze. Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu kusembili.
Kwalomuhle yasiphinze sikwamukele ehlelweni nesikhatsenya lo sidawe thabelana indzaba tekucala Kusile breakfast show indzaba tesiswati. Liphini landvunankulu lithi labo labangondli bantfana babo kanye nebatali lehhovisi leliphini landvunankulu litayisebenta indzaba yabo ngekusebenzisana nebetindzaba. Liphini landvunankulu lithi bantfu labadzala bayatetfula batetfwese ngebantfwana labashiwe nabo kanti-ke sebete emandla. Liphini landvunankulu belikhuluma ngesikhathi letfula umbiko wekusebenta walelihhovisi wemnyaka wa 2023 kuya ku-2024 embikwe lelibuke kusebenta kwalelihhovisi endlini yetimpunga.
Liphini landvunankulu umhlonishwa Thuli Idladla letfula umbiko wekusebenta walelihhovisi embikwe likomiti lelibuke kusebenta kwalelihhovisi endlini yetimpunga lapho livetile ukuthi uhulumende wengete imbasha yebantfu labakhubatekile lokwendeke ukuthi uhulumende angakhoni ukukhulisa imbasha yabo gogo. Dladla uvete ngesinyathelo lehhovisi lelitasithatha ngalabo labangondli bantfwana nebatali.
Sicele emajaha ethu lahle bantfwana babuyele bawubona abantwana. Sicele tinfombi tethu tihambe tiyobona abantwana. Sitawusebenza nemedia sibone ukuthi sibubeka kanjani lokho without humiliate abantu, but ukuthi si-raise le awareness ekumcoka ukuthatha abantwana bakho ubanake nebantwa bakho ubanake. Lokho sitakusebenza abahlonishwa against all odds. Nyalo nje already kulokucela kwethu bantwana babhalisile la over 4,000 lebe banze bangekho nje esikoleni bahleli ekhaya because esikolweni bathi ngeke ungene ude i-deposit. Manje ke i-problem yethu sibaka DPM besithi sitakwathi ngani thina ukuthi lo mphana ucoshiwe sibhadalele bani kanti umntwana ucoshiwe. Sicela ukuthi tikolwa atiba receive labantwana bangene bantwana baba register basitshele ukuthi naba bantwana benu ngaphala bantwana bayeta kithi sibabhalise bacele kuya esikolweni sibabhalise sisho ukuthi sidabanika i-grant.
Timpunga tibe setiyaphawula ngalombiko.
Siyambona physically on the ground doing the work that is mandated for leli tiko lakilo. Kuyabonakala ukuthi kune-passion.
Kepha singamaswati siyawuphumelela, siyawuphuma kanjani, siphumelele kanjani, sichubeke sidevelophe kanjani mangabe sasolo sibhacana imicimbi njengemfene nangafathi imfene amaningi.
Esingakucela nje ukuthi hawu ngaso spirit sanguwe asesente uhlangana nalawo ma-stakeholders nangabe kude kuphunywe nepolice sogada naba lengibaphinthese ngemali neyiseyazi labahlalela nje kuphikisa.
Dladla uphindze waveta kutsi bakhele bantfu labeswele tindlu letingu-182 nekutsi ke lihhovisi libhatalele bantfwana bendlunkulu labangetulu kwa-58,000 ngemali lengetulu kwa-171 million emalangeni. Indzaba yekuhlukubetana liphini landvunankulu alikayishiyeli ngephandle. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni ngisephalamende.
Liphini landvunankulu umhlonishwa tulidladla ngakulokunye lithulumende kufanele asungule tindlela letawukhona kutsi noma simo selitulu sigucuka netehlakalo tidlangile kepha live likhonile kuchubekela embili kuleso simo. Liphini landvunankulu belikhuluma ngesikhatsi libandla leliphunga tehlakalo lilinganisa kutsi basitakala kanjani bantfu nakuvele tehlakalo. Nomsebenti bewubanjelwe emphakatsi kamalinza kanti-ke umbukeli uyacwayiswa kuletinye titfombe letitawuvela kulombiko ati siyo tengoti mbamba kepha kungumfanekiso nje wayo.
Umsebenti wekulinganisa kutsi ke nakuvela tehlakalo tinhlangothi letitsindzekako tibheke kutsi tinikete lusito kanjani. Libeka inkhulumo yalo liphini landvunankulu umhlonishwa tulidladla lithi ke sive semaswati silimele kakhulu ngesizatfu setehlakalo lebetingazange setibonwe.
Kufanele ke ukuthi sixwayisane siphindze sibuke ukuthi sesiphila phansi kwalesimo lesikanje. Kufanele ukuthi singaze ini. Kufanele ukuthi senteni ukuze sichubeke siphile. Kepha nje ngasho ukuthi letikhathi timatima. Utawuthe ekhaya wena utitshele ukuthi emasimini yolima. Lifike sangcotho sishaye sibhubhise njalo kusibhubhisile tindzabeni letinyenti. Lifike lilanga libhubhise lisebhubhisile qhamuka litunjalo seliqhamuka nje. Setawusita kumbe etinkomo kulabo labanemfuyo. Kepha nje konke lokho ngeke sigcine ngekubuka endeme ukuthi sixwayisa njani. Kufanele ukuthi singihulumende siphinde futhi sibuke tindlela tekuthi siphila njani kulesimo lesesikhona lesibhekene naso singumhlaba wonke jikelele. Baphindze ke basikhombisa nendzaba yetingoti. Tingoti setifuna kwenyuka futhi. Ngiyajabula nje ukuthi NDMA athi asikwendeni lokucwayisa ngesilumbi bakubita lesikwenda bona mhlabathi simulation siyalinganisela ukuthi uma kwenteka info lenje kufanele ukuthi sibambe kanjani.
Indvuna yemphakatsi wakamalinza Sipho Dlamini ithi ke lesive sihlaselwe kakhulu yimfuyo lebangatingoti.
Umuntu wonke lokhona logangako ngekutsatsa fenisi emgwaqweni wenda licala kanti futhi ungumbulali ngoba mase kungena letinkomo la emgwaqweni setibulala abantu utawujatshuliswa yini yena ukuthi watsatsa ludalada.
Sive sakamalinza sifundiswe kabanti ngekuvikela tingoti kanye ke nekuvikela kutsi silunye tinyoka. Tindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni kamalinza.
Lenyuke ngalokubili nengcenye ekhulwini 2.1% lizinga lebantfu labangasebenzi eveni njengoba selime ku-35.4%. Lokhu kuvakele ngendvuna yetisebenti umhlonishwa Phila Buthelezi ngesikhathi yetfula imiphumelo yelicwaningo lekuthiwa yi-Labour Force Survey leyendiwe eminyakeni lophelile.
Colleagues, development partners and all our stakeholders in the economy, the labor market is at a crisis. We need to get the economy working again and reverse the gloomy picture painted by the figures we are here to share with you today. To give you some highlights, working age population increased from 790,862 to 793,614, leading to an increase to the labor force participation rate hence a decline to those who are out of labor force. As we speak, the unemployment rate has increased by 2.1%, rising to 35.4%. In terms of sex, females have the highest unemployment rate of 37.6%, while males have 33.1%. Youth unemployment rate has decreased from 58.2% to 56%. The Kusile region has the highest youth unemployment rate at 71%. However, the proportion of youth not in employment, not in education, and not in training has increased from 35% to 36.7%.
Indvuna yelitiko letemfundvo nekucecesha umhlonishwa owenqumalo inxusa tinkampani ukuthi tisekele emakolishi etemakhono akuleli njengoba sengiyo indlela yokuphila. Kanti-ke indvuna yelitiko letisebenti umhlonishwa Phila Buthelezi ithi live ngekubambisana lingalwa netinombolo letisetulu tebantfu labangasebenti. Tindvuna totimbili betikhuluma inkulumo yato ekolishi letemakhono i-Vocational lapho live le-Taiwan linikele ngemishina yekusebenta kuleli kolishi.
Uhulumende welive leShayina sihlenge se-Taiwan uyachubeka nokubambisa live ekuthuthukiseni imfundvo yemakhono kuleli. Lunxusele live le-Taiwan kuleli Jeremy Liang wetfule imishini letawusita ekufundziseni emakhono ekolishi letemakhono eGwamile Vocational. Kulo msebenzi, indvuna yetemfundvo umhlonishwa owenqumalo lebeyihambisana nemlingani wayo umhlonishwa Phila Buthelezi bahlale tonke tinhlangothi letikhona kuleli kolishi. Umhlonishwa owenqumalo yithi kumqoka kakhulu ukuthi bafundzi nabacedza kucecesha bavule emabhizinisi njengoba seyiyindlala imisebenzi kuleli.
Labafundzi nyalo sebatawufundza ngemishina lesezingeni. Le mishina ibita tigidzi letisihlanu temalangeni. Ngiyabonga ukuthi nelitiko liyakusekela indzaba yaka-TVET. Sibonile nje lapha sabakhona kulungisa ama-aircon bathi batawukhona nokwa-install phindze bawalungise.
Indvuna yetisebenti umhlonishwa Phila Buthelezi ithi uhulumende utimisela ukuqinisa luhlangothi lwetemakhono kute tinkampani titawutfola tisebenti letikhaliphile naleto letidingekako ngalesi sikhatsi.
The equipment will facilitate the acceleration of service delivery and minimize trade testing backlog in welding and automotive trades. The equipment here at Vocational is also assisting the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in conducting trade tests for welding and auto electrical. We are very grateful and appreciate Your Excellency for such a kind gesture.
Lobekamele lunxusele le-Taiwan kuleli Chinlin uchazile ukuthi i-Taiwan itawuchubeka nokwesekela lakangwane kutemfundvo.
Taiwan and Eswatini collaborated, support each other, and stood together as important partners. We have also boosted cooperation in variety areas. The robust cooperation between our two countries has yielded fruitful results and has promoted the well-being of both our peoples.
Tikola temakhono kuleli tilishumi nesifupha kanti-ke natinakekeleke kahle tingafaka sandla ekwehliseni linani lensha lengasebenzi njengoba kungumanje bangemashumi lamane nemfica bantfu labasha labangasebenzi. Lebeka tindzaba ngisindiswazwane Anasimuva Shongwe kuMathapha.
Funa ilitiko letemisebenti lemikhulu nekutfutsa umhlonishwa sikhulu Ndlaluhlaza sithi ilitiko selicalile ukukhulumisana netinhlangothi letitsindzekako ekutheni luhlangothi lwetindiza events ale litfutsa nemithwalo. Indvuna beyikhuluma ngesikhathi yetfula umbiko wekusebenta welitiko layo lweminyaka wa 2023 kuya 2024 embiko likomiti lelibuka ekusebenta kwalelitiko endlini yetimphunga lapho kuphindze kwadzingidwa emaphakelo eminyaka losetulu alelitiko.
Yetfula lombiko wekusebenta welitiko letemisebenti lemikhulu nekutfutsa, indvuna yalelitiko iphonswe ngemibuto likomiti letimphunga lelibuka ekusebenta kwalelitiko ngetindzaba letiphatselene nalelitiko.
Wena lo msebenzi ukuthi live alelaphi nekusisize nje singajinge siyawukhala isibayeni sikhale nje ukuthi imigwaco kude ayibonakali kungade ukuthi sizathu ngabe yini ngoba
i-issue ye-rail chair sibonile eSouth Africa ukuthi titimela takhona dilimele. That is an opportunity for living in Eswatini. Kwekuthi sineke asihlele mbiseni yebo kufanele si connect at least nasinga connect na Mozambique ke and other parts of the continent sihlele thine because lincane live lethu and tindzaba dabo fraud na tutonge letikabi letindeka kulamanye emave atikho kangako lakhaya so lokhu kuyi opportunity ukuthi mhlambe Eswatini Eswatini Railway akachubeke ayisebente indzaba yokuthi i-rail ibe alternative.
Seyiphendvula indvuna umhlonishwa sikhulu Ndlalihlaza sithi-ke litiko liyayilungisa indzaba yemigwaco kanye netindzaba letiphatselene netekutfutsa ngemoya kanye nangaloliwe.
Indzaba yokuthi ngabe litiko liyakubuka yini ukuthi silayishe nemithwalo. Ngingaba kubika lo sesihlalweni embi kwetimpunga ukuthi sesivele sisekhathi nalo msebenzi wekutfola timvume tekugwenda sekukhona kukhuluma lokwentekako emkhatsini wa Eswatini nalabasiphathele umthetho lokunge-Eswaka kwekuthi sitovele siwusukumise lo msebenzi wekulayisha impahla iphume ingena eSwatini. Nabo somabhizinisi labaningi sebasonzelele basibuta basikhutsata ukuthi yebo phela siyabona nesithutha sive kepha-ke impahla ke sinenkinga yokuthi kade kwagcina kuthengwa iplanti kahulumende. Le planti leseyikhona seyinzala seyigugile seyifela futhi noma seyifile kuphukela kolokuphukile sekuthi indleko letinkulu ukulungisa sevele nje sesiyachuda. Ngingako sivukenele isile ukuthi nasingasekeleka sikwadi kumobilizer digulumba sitiboleke ku etinkampanini letitimele tibuye titosisekela kulomsebenzi.
Indvuna ibe seyicela ukuthi letinye imphendvulo icela-ke ukuthi ibhala phasi tindzabeni kubika sondomlangeni ePhalamende.
Imahamba coach hiking umsebenzi lonemandla ekuletha intuthuko esifundzeni saseshiselweni. Kanti-ke imahamba coach music festival yona itawuletha lushintsho ikhange netivakashi kulomsebenzi. Lokho kuvakele ngendvuna yetemidlalo nemasiko lebeyimelelwe indvuna yetemfundvo. Umhlonishwa owenqimalo makusukunyiswa imahamba coach music festival sukunyiselwe-ke eBethel Court eZulwini.
Imahamba Gorge Music Festival umsebenzi otawubanjwa ngempelasonto yamhla ka-27 April 2024. Umhlonishwa owenqimalo libekamelele induna yetemidlalo uthi ngekuhlanganisa tekuvakasha nemasiko kulo msebenzi libe litawuzuza njengoba lo msebenzi utawukhanga tivakashi kuphindze kukhule nemnotfo.
Unlike in previous years, those attending the Mahamba Gorge hiking event will now have added reason to spend the entire weekend in and around Mahamba, boosting the area and wider region's economy. This in turn will benefit accommodation facilities, small businesses, and other players in the economy. Most importantly, the marriage presents a solid platform for artists from the Shiselweni region to showcase their talents in front of a national audience in their own backyard.
Sihlalo eMahamba Gorge hiking Thembekile Mtsebele uthi kuyinfokoto ukubona abamfana labanemakhono balangazelela ukungenelela le Mahamba Gorge Music Festival.
Ngalo msebenzi lo baningi bantu labatawutfola uzuza. Kunalabo make basemakethe lesingabanaki labathengisa ama-fruits labathengisa lokwa nalokho. Ngalamalanga lamathathu because you don't have any angathi ngakubekisa kanjani. You have no idea ukuthi batawusitakala kangakanani. Batawathengisa kusukela ngalesihlanu kuzobe kufika ngesonto. Kuningi labatakuthola la.
Umhlonishwa uphindze wanxusa abahlabeleli babukisa ukuthi bakhiphe onke emakhono bende umsebenzi obe ngulomuhle. Lebuyade indzaba engusindiswa Zwane Anathemba Shabongo eZulwini.
Kutemidlalo tingijimi letimbili takuleli lokungusibusiso Swazi Bolt Matsenjwa kanye nabongiwe Mahlalela sabachubekele kumancamu e200 meters emidlalweni yema All Africa Games alonyaka lachubeka ke eveni laseGhana.
Ingijimi yakuleli Sibusiso Swazi Bolt Matsenjwa iyachubeka nokuphakamisa umjeka welive emidlalweni yema All Africa Games lechubeka eveni leGhana kulandzela kuchudzelana kahle lekwendile kutsi ithole lithikithi lekuchubekela esigabeni semancamu e200 meters lapho khona ubesendzaweni yesithathu kuletingijimi lebekachudzelana nato. Matsenjwa usebenzise isikhathi lesingu 21.9 seconds kanzi ngaphansi kwabomake bongekomahlalela naye uchubekele esigabeni semancamu salemidlalo kuyo i200 meters ngemuva kwekugijima sikhathi lesingu 23.9 seconds. Letingijimi letimbili tisemathubeni ekutsi tibuye ekhaya netimendlela nangabe titawuchudzelana kahle kumancamu. Ngalesihlanu lemidlalo itawuchubeka lapho khona licembu le-taekwondo kubheke ukuthi lichudzelane. Tindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela, umbiko uhlanganiswe nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Ngakho Swati sitawahlola emarket sitawubuya sichubeka nehlelo LinkedIn sits down with Constance van Zuidem. They talk about Earth Hour as well as World Water Day.
Hello everyone, my name is Mahu. Get the beat down on Saturday.
Okay, but vuka sikhulume.
Is marriage the prize? No.
Do I smash on the first date?
Also, I don't have exes. I only have a current.
Nawuthatha kula umsakazo wakho ngumsakazo wethombe Eswatini TV setheleni Kusile breakfast show ngolwesihlanu ekseni kunemsebenzi ke lomkhulu elangeni lakusasa eSwatini bongosi imsebenziwe at hour na Dr Constance van Zelda ke namhle ekseni hlaka sayiteka ke la viki eliphelile bekusangila ma walks nje Dr Nguvusela ngikwambuke namhle ekseni. I think we are just counting hours before the 8 hour mhlambe vele asingenela kuthenini kuleli langa lakusasa tabe kwenteka nihlele
Siyabonga kakhulu elangeni lakusasa siqale sibingelele kumbukeli ekhaya langa lakusasa ngilelikhulu kakhulu lapho khona sionarisha umhlaba iplanet yethu lesiyithanza nangaka lesiniketa impilo silive laseSwatini nathi sibambisana nemhlaba wonke kuthi sisho kona ukuthi sigubhe nali suku lekuthiwa i-Earth Hour lekuba hour lapho khona siyekela kukhanyisa loko lokungasiko mgcoko emanani essential lights nema appliances lamanye lesingawasebenzisi kusukela nga8:30 kuze kube ngu9:30 ngemgcibelo shosi lokho kutabe kwenteka kusasa ngiko ke lokufuna ukuthi umlaleli asibambise kiko lokho 8:30 to 9:30 kusasa. Otherwise siyinhlangano noma singile committee Earth Hour Eswatini leyakhiwe tinhlobonhlobo tebantu lababuya ku industry emabhange kuletinye tinkampani sihlele ukuthi kusasa sitawubambisana sigubhe nathi singete emhlabeni kukhomisa ukuthi nathi kunelichasa lesifuna kulidlala sinekele sikuplanile ukuthi kusukela nga5 entsambama kusasa lapha eHouse on Fire eMalkens kutawuba khona umcimbi lotabe ukhona lapho khona sive simukelekile khona ukuthi singeta si expecteke ukuthi kungeta abantu labangangabo 2300 kunemathikiti ke bekathengiswa siyethemba ukuthi abantu sebathole noma batawuchubeka bawathole atfolakala na usebenzisa WhatsApp noma ungene ku website yaka
ticket awuyi
na utel ticket ungedi ngoba vele lapha utafika ukhona engena lengekhathi eHouse on Fire ngikuthi uphethele leticket lakho awulithenga leticket kodwa nje ucontrol ama numbers kunalama ticket lokufuna ukuthi ulikhombise ngeselfone yakho ukuthi nali lakho lolithula ko ngabe ungene kule application shothi ke umcimbi uyaqala nga5 labata ufika becala balabang 800 kukhona lokuhlela batakuthola so siyancusa ukuthi abantu basheshe bafike emkhathisini walo 5 na wa 4 na 5 kuze ngabo 5 iyaqala ievent bayangena bathola la kulaba kutholako bese nga6 uyaqala ke umcimbi mbamba lapho kutaba netinkhulumo letincane letibuya kulabo labasendelele event ukuthi be successful ema sponsors fasengibekse nje lamakhulu sinabo FNB Standard Bank na Nedbank na Gulp naletinye ke tinkampani letifake esandla bo TRRC nalamanye nje ama companies lamaningi lakende ukuthi lokhu kube imphumelelo so ngibo ke labatabe baniketa ti pitch letincane bese mva lokho nebantu labadzala bakule live lababuya expect ukuthi encenye sibe nema ministers lamathathu iminister yaka energy iminister yaka tourism and environmental affairs kanye neministry yaka housing siyathi ukuthi ma ministries la sebenzisana kakhulu lawo kakhulu kusiphushela yona le agenda lesibhizi ngawo so kutabe kunawo ne entertainment ke itabe ikhona mbukeli ekhaya sitabe sinebantu labafana nabo Cibo sinabo Juda sibe nabo Bishop kanye nabo bo Blue Jay na JD ngibo labatasicalela sisaqala nje salungiseleli event between 5 na 6 then ke bese sekayeda lama artists lakatiwako labo boCibo nabo lebengibasho yebo emva kwaloko ngalo 8:30 to 9:30 kutaba ne-symbolic switch off lesitawucela ukuthi nalo sekhaya naye abambisane nathi ngekuthi ngaleso sikhathi leso asi-switch off lawo manani essential lights aphindze acime letinto yabo into leyidle kakhulu khanza ukuthi igiza nesitofu uwisa ke konke lokho la ungekho khona ucime sisheshe siphekene ukhanza ukuthi kuneti tournament letsite lesitibukelako asimake sure ukuthi leto maybe sikhanyisa kuphela lapho lesitabe sihleli khona lokunye siyacima yebo kuze ukuthi sitonciphisa lesithatha cause itarget yethu loneyaka si-aim ukuthi at least save 20 megawatts we-energy but ke ngekuthi ke sesi aware singicabanga ukuthi sitawugabizela sitriplishe lokho noma kube kuningi kakhulu
kukhona abanye abathi musi isilamandlale kuyawathi lamalayini so leli line leli connect kunesibhedlela la ngeke sasa connect la ekhaya ulana kunalenye essential service connect la ekhaya lana line leli lemakhaya akaveli kanjawise nje
ku angeke inkampani emagesi ikwende lokho ngalokuthi lesikwendako kuyinfo le voluntary utendela wena ngekuthi uyafuna sithi kuleli hour itheme yakhona ithi give an hour for the planet so ku voluntary wena uyasho siyathi ngiyabona na info leyendekako ayisiyo lele kahle nanami asengithathe lichaza ngiact nyalo sengiseve le lo gas lengidam consumer ngalesikhathi lesi ngingamsebenzisi sinikete nje lo mhlaba wethu kuthula noma kuthi asesiyipholisa singawo cause siumhlukumente kakhulu sasumnikete isithuba nje leli hour libe linye kodwa singagcini lapho ngoba ubona nje kuthi lo 60 lo earth hour kuthi 60 plus kusho ukuthi ascende beyond the hour kube netinfo lestandayo kutosisita kuze kuthi lo mhlaba wethu ube ngilolo sustainable kuyaphela lokho ama resources lesinako lesitukulane lesitako ngeke silukhanze lo mhlaba ima sichubeka ngalendlela lesenta ngawo tinto nekuthi ngithi siyakhala nyalo kule tinfo tethu lestandile kuhlukubeda lo mhlaba nyalo yabuya umhlaba ngithi lele sesikhala sikhala ngabo El Nino sikhala ngabo cyclone bani kuningi tifo kuyagethuka kwentekani asakhona ukuproduce siphile kahle and lesimo sitaba kabi kakhulu uma ngabe singendi lutho singabambisani sishintshe lendlela lesenta ngawo tinto nyalo singameli ukuthi kunemuntu okusasa lotasendela next sithi sithembe bani utasita uhulumeni ngithi akucale ngathi lendvo lemakhala sikhona khona kuchubeke lemisebentini yonke indzawo lekwenta kwethu ema processes ethu nema value chain wethu akube ngilawo la ka green kuze kuthi konke lesikwenda kube sustainable so indzaba lethinta thini sonke akusinfo ukuthi yalabathide kuthinta thini engithi lokufuna sende lutho nyalo
kuthiwa ke akucishwe lawo malambi langasimcoka elangeni lakusasa ngithemba nje ukuthi ngoba ngiobserve nami la kubo 8-9 nangihamba la ngakubo correctional services nalapha kunanza khona base kusedolishini kune ministry yaka tourism kune ministry yaka housing kune ministry yaka natural resources kwanza nje nga9 futhi yabasebenza ebusuku lapha nga9 basuke basemakhaya keja onke lamahhovisi ayakhaya sembe sasa kutabe kucishiwe
siyanxusa ukuthi namuhla njengoba kungilesihlane ema office asicimeni phela asishiyeni ukucima sikhiphe nala mahita singashi kuloloma nje and kube ipractice lesi siyendawo cishe emalangeni onke nangabe kunekukhanya lokuvela ngaphandle sebenzisa le natural light na ungakhanyisi igesi kude sidingo nekuthi ke kuya encourage akusasebenzise nema alternative sources of energy sisebenzise letinye tinto letikhona ukuthi dingasibambisa kulesimo lesikiso nyalo asicimende ema officeini Friday nasihambako nalemakhaya nisibambiseni simane si7 lokhu seva kwethu le energy lo 20 megawatts kutawusho ukuthi sinciphise ema emissions lebe kumele ukuthi ayesibhakabhakeni ngaleso sikhathi shothi utawukuphumula enkosi yami lo mhlaba ngalelo awo kube into lesiyendako going forward kuthi nje siphile sustainable lifestyles
kusho kuthini ukuthi sinaka private sector we're talking about the banking sector ethenini bayangena ngiyayibuka le 8 hour especially the main event it grows bigger and bigger each and every year kusho kuthini mhlambe ngabe kusho ukuthi nanabo sebathinzeka yini ngale nto lebesethiyende
wonke umuntu kufuna indzaba yethu sonke njengoba ngishito ngabe usebhange ngabe usemayini ngoba le climate change it is affecta sonke nya kuyi risk yayo yonke ibusiness asengibekise kwasabona labasebhange nje kunema structures abo labasebentela khona ngithi uma ngabe leli bhange seliphephukile yabo ukuthi kuyinkinga noma sekunile nalokuthi uma lama customer awashwe ngile cyclone yabona sekude libhange kwasana nabo labantu labasebenta lebhange baphila lamhlabeni abasakhona sekudemand kuna El Nino so yinfo lokufuna ukuthi wonke umuntu abe concern nalokwenda kwabo basasebenta nje lapha basebenzisa bongcondo mshina basebenzisa yena lo gas basebenzisa emanti kulama institutions abo letinfo letona ngabe bangadipart batonke nabo phela konke kufuna nawuhlanganisa lo nangabe benda kabi nalomnye enda kabi lo monakalo uba mkhulu kakhulu kanti nangabe senda kahle sonke sibambisana ngilo ende konke letinfo taka lama value chain yakhe ingileyo le green kutawenta ukuthi lo mhlaba wethu ukhonze lesitukulwane lesitako sikhone kuphila kiwo. Kanti uma ngilota usebenzisa dedengu nje lo mhlabathi kusitaba nenkinga vele ngesikhone sitigcina sesingekho kwasananathi ngoba lempilo angeyikhona ngesikhone kuphefumula umoya utabuphepholuthed ngesikhone kudle emasimini kude tinfo tishayekile tishile noma timawashwe mandi kude inyama sakhona tinkhoma tikhona kudla emanti apholuthed uyabothi impilo ngaba ngilenya kuyashisa siyafrayeka angikhona ngekufika la kushiseni kakhulu because asikhona nje kushisa so wonke umuntu consent.
Dr. Constance Van Zyl leti taka environment ngiyalo liqiniso leliphelele sangateka kusukela liphuma kuze liyawuthi bengina sethemba ukuthi umsebenzi utahamba kahle la kusasa bonke umsebenzi usemalandela lapha ndase eMalkens kusuka ke shesha ufike na ungafika nje ngensimbi yesine nsambama ngawe nde kahle kakhulu. We need to keep time le first world la sesiphokopela kufika khona lokunye ama characteristics emavela ku first world ayasigcina isikhathi sibathola ukuthi market bonke lasibuya sitakaza ba the world water day ngoba namhla umhlaba unaka kedwa nenza bade bomcoka bekusebenziswa nekongiwa kwemanti.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Ujala masaba mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokho sifile sive sithi khulumeni.
Catch Eswatini Lifestyle Friday evenings at 6:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV. And of course, this is Eswatini Lifestyle, and of course, this is your wonderful host, Chukiz Meaning, who's here to give you nothing but the best of the entertainment and lifestyle scene in the kingdom of Eswatini. Get the trending stories with your favorite stars of Eswatini and fashion, showbiz, food, travel, and events. They say when you're in doubt, which color do you wear? Orange. Simply follow Eswatini Lifestyle on our Eswatini TV pages and social media platforms. Don't forget to catch the show Fridays at 6:30 p.m., repeat on Mondays at 9 a.m. on Eswatini TV, Spogo Semaswati.
Ngaminyaka wa 1992 mhlabhlangene kulehlangosi lwaka environment kwangena ke agenda indzaba yokuthi aseyinako indzaba yebumcoka bemanti yaseke ya adoptwa leyo indzaba leyo nga December nga 1992 kwaseke kumenyithula ukuthi mhla ka 22 March kuyaba ngile World Water Day la bomakhelwane bethu eNingizimu Afrika eJozi kune crisis lematima yekwesolakala kwemanti bonke sekunamakhosikoza amconzisi lapha kuleli hlangosi lelibukenza batemanti Ministry of Natural Resources Director Water Affairs anguvusele babe because namhla ekseni lo myanga dibutana sila Eswatini nje liyana belina kulamalanga kule nindzawo nemifula nemanti apart from now lokontekala kangwana nga 2016 2015 16 lokwa kwesomiso labanye bantu dibuthasi yini bumqoka bekusisinake nasidolusuku le World Water Day.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu umsakati ngicela kuvusela even babukeli emakhaya even lonke la kangwane uliqiniso umsakati lokuthi vele mhlabhlangene walibeka lelisuku lolu namuhla nje lokuthi 22 lusuku lekugubha emanti noma lesithi World Water Day ngelimi lwesilumbi. Siye siligubhe losuku lolu phase isicubulo lesithide, isicubulo lesinaso this time around noma kulesikhathi lesithi Water for Peace. Lokusho ukuthi ngalamagama nawubuka ihlangothi lwekuthula emanti angadlala inzima lebaluleke ngendlela emangalisayo. Kumgcoka ke ukuthi nanathi lolu suku lolu silugubhe sendele ukuthi bantu ikakhulu bantu bakithi batokwati lokuthi lamanti lesiwabona lahamba lapha heaven. Kungaba ngemanti lesiwabonako lahamba ngetulu, kungaba ngemanti lesingawaboni la ngaphansi kwemhlaba lesithi ground water. Kumcoka kakhulu ukuthi siwonke siwanakekele kuze ukuthi sito avoida noma ke sitovikela ukuthi ukhanze sesiyachukulutana lapha nalapha ngenxa yokuthi scarce resource lesi emsakade.
Asesingene na indzaba nayo ke kunemimango eveni noma nje sikuphi angicale lapho lo silive leSwatini sikuphi ikakhulukati ekuletheni emanti lahlobile eMaswatini.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu msakade even lakithi lakangwane eSwatini ngekusho kwalolu cwaningo lolukhona noma lecwaningo lesike sabanalo sibambisene neCentral Statistics Office even lakangwane nationally nasibuka nje sikhanza ukuthi siku 75% kulethwa kwemanti lahlantekile even lakangwane. Sesibize sesiphinde siyahlukanisa ke sithi ke kunendzawo lesithi semakhaya kuma rural areas lapho siku 67.4%, kuthi emadolobheni khona siku 92.5%. Lokusho singalama features ngathi siku 93%.
Okay. Ngiyabona lamadolobheni ukuthi probably angangena na water services. Yebo nasemakhaya khona indzawo la ngena ukuthi yini letinsaya lesinato lesenta ukuthi mhlambe lemakhaya sibe bafisha nyana. Nesikufune sendeni ke ukuze linyuke lelisi.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu msakati. Liqiniso lolvetako vele emadolobheni siyayibona indlela lekulethwa ngawo emanti cishe lesibalo sisetulu. Emakhaya yebona khona vele lesibalo siphansi. Kodwa ke siyasanza kuveta lokuthi singilethe inhlangothi sibambisene nawo ama partners lokufaka ekhathi even nayo water services lekufaka even inhlangothi efaka ekhathi ama UN agencies nalamanye ama partners lakhona nje emangweni. Sibuke kakhulu indzaba yekufakwa kwemanti emakhaya. Kulesikhathi nje lesikuso lesi sitama ukuthi sibuyekede even lemithetho leta usenda kwekuthi lama players noma ke tonke labo lebangibona bafanele ukuthi bayise lamanti endzaweni yasemakhaya nanabo bakhone kwayisa ngendlela lengiyo. Tinsayiya ke lesinato nawubuka emakhaya msakati unlike emadolobheni nawubuka sakhe cishe sindzawonye. Lemakhaya uyukhanza lomunye ulapha etulensabeni lomunye ukusesiwashini lomunye ulapha nalapha lokhanza ukuthi kube sekuyasidulela lokuletha lolo sito kulabo bantu labo. Kodwa na ke asiphinde sivete emsakati lokuthi kulomnyaka lesikuwo kusukela nje umnyaka lophelile ngafishane kuta kulomnyaka lesikuwo kutaze kube umnyaka wa 2025 February senda naku lesithi ngesilumbi i-water sanitation hygiene master plan. Lokumhlaka noma ke lokumgogodla lokumkhombandlela losiliyisa embili kwekuthi kuze kuthi sikwadi kufinyelela even lapha emakhaya ukuphi la kunale gap khona. Asivete ke ukuthi kwecala lokho sikwenda even la kangwane besolo side umkhombandlela ke libe sinawo nje ngilona lobuke nje emanti general lesithi i-integrated water resources master plan lebuke emanti general kulethwa kwemanti ngemadam naloko naloko. But nyalo sesinako lo mkhombandlela siulungisako lotawubuka nje kulethwa kwemanti emakhaya sikwathi lokuthi uhulumende atokhona lokuthola kubambiseka ngeninto enkosi kwekuthi kuphi vele la kunetikhe besikhona kuleli vela kangwane ikakhulu nje nawubuka emakhaya ukuthi
kulenza nje bona nje lapha kubomalinza lapha ekubobhudla nabo labaye bakhala kakhulu ukuthi bona bede manje
kunjalo msakati lo mkhombandlela lona lesilungisako leto tindzawo leto tonke leti njengaleto sitawutisebenta utasiniketa sikwathi lokho ukuthi ke sesiyayiletha le intervention kuyimikisa kubantu kuze sibantu babe nawo amanti lahlantekile njengoba nasikhumbula nje even nyalo sisuka besesibayeni emsakade bavetile bakhala bantu benkosi lo ukuthi site manje lahlandekile ngala site lokuthite ngala sizamake lo ukuthi kuloko sibambisane nawo imimango sibambisane nato tininti enkosi nawo onke nje ema-UN agencies nema-partners lesinawo even
futhi uyiteka kahle lenzaba ngoba uyiteka nami ngisebandleni lemandi le la ngikhona khona ngifuna ke kuthola ukuthi kuye la sikhona khona imiphakathi kube ne-stikimu lesi scheme semandi lesi sihlangane lesive sikhiphe leto demand sesibatha ukufuna lawo mapipe nibambisana njani water affairs naleto dikimu letile emakhaya lokho sitayikhipha le mali angibe njengala kubojokolwako nje banaso scheme lapha kuMagagula ukuthi bafuna kuletha kudonse manje etudeni sabeni base kufike nini nabona sowakhona manje la angatholakala tinibambisa njani leto dikimu nitisita njani nanani department.
Siyabonga kakhulu umsakati intuthuko siyathi lo ukuthi vele icala khona emangweni kuba nguwo umango futhi lo vame kusibona lesidingo sekuthi kulendzawo yethu le siyidinga intuthuko yamandi thineke le bese siyabambisana ke sibe nabo balingani bethu even belitiko letempilo kulehlangosi la environmental health sibe nawo labo lebasatifundzeni baka rural water lebangibona ke sibe nawo labathuthukisi bethu lesibasebenzisako lebangibona ke bese bayakhona lokukhulumisana noma lokukhuluma kanye nalesive lesilapha phansi kulama committee la khona ngoba lesive sithi asitiketsele committee laso lelitawubuka lentuthuko bese ke thina sesiyabuya sesifundisa ukuthi intuthuko lenjengemandi siyibamba njani kuya embili sibuke ukuthi vele lo lesifuna kukwenda kutalisita njani lo mango sisifundise ke sicele ukuthi sikolekele imali ke sithi kasivule libhuku sibuke sisifundise nakhona lapho lokuthi le mali sitayikoleka kanjani ngoba phela umsakati nasoyifakele intuthuko sibese sishiya kuso lesive sikwathi lokuthi siyibuke le ntuthuko ikhose ngoba sithi nathi siyishila sidinga ukuthi sive ukuthi kusasa sesifulathele isale yafa le ntuthuko kungako ke sithi siyabambisana kakhulu nayo imango siyabambisana kakhulu nabo buholi kungaba ubandla kancane kungaba amakomiti entuthuko kuye lemimango lena la kufunako nawubekise nje kathoko lwakho le mimango sithi asibe nazo isiqiniseko phela ukuthi le ntuthuko le intuthuko yenu le nticelele yona kuhulumende ukuthi akanibambise ngobe ngini leleni ishoda ngalihlangosi lemandi.
I do apologize kuna ngibujile ngitawuta nawo laba bekhosi senini le minye imimango sekakhona ke lamandi baye basibalinyelelo sebalinyelelo iphambo abasakhona mhlambe ukuthi lephambo yabo yokudonsa lamandi yini sebalimalele kanale mali emlinzelo incane mhlambe ukuthi kuthenga lephambo then lo mbuto uthi why is the responsibility of the civic to le phambo ngoba ine responsibility nani yona siqiniseke ukuthi lonke liswati lithole imali lahlobile la ife
kuliqiniso kakhulu umsakati lo lokuvetako lesikhwama sabo lesisikhwama semlinzelo le operation maintenance fund le bayikoleke lapha ekucaleni bayikolekela ukuthi kunetinto lotawukhanza tiyabalimale kule scheme sabo kungaba kukhanza seyiphukile imbombi selitsabukile lepipe sekufuna ukuthi bayothenga maybe lokuhlanganisa nalokho nalokho lokungathi kuncanyana kuloko sesithi le mali ayibabambise lapho kuloko lofika kuko ke ukuthi sekulimale iphampu uyawukhanza ukuthi ibita abo 60,000 or ibita even nangetulu or so lapho siyesibese sesiyangena sibabambise njengoba ngivedile ukuthi sine singuhulumende asisebenza isodwana sisebenza nato tinini intenkosi letiyethi sibambise kulolo hlangothi.
Okay. Bongosi ngubabekhoza ngumqondisi lapha ke water affairs sitakanza ba langa le kunakwa kahle kusebenziswa kahle nekongiwa kwemandi ngaleli langa nje ngidamcela sesitakhuluma naye indzaba emabhoholi ukuthi emabhoholi bakangantani ukuthi kholo ufuna ukuthi ngishiye.
Yes ngicela nje umsakade ungakavali ngicela kuveta lokuthi lelanga silivela kangwani bekumele siligubhe namuhla ngenxa yokuthi ke kukhona la sisalungisa khona lokuthite lelanga sibese siyacela lokuthi simane siligubhe mhla ka27 kuMarch ngalesithathu sitabe sisemavuso trade center sitawucala nje ngekuraise iawareness ngekuthi sisuke edolobheni la kaManzini senyuke siphethe lawo mabhena ethu ukukhombisa lokuthi sive sifumele siwaphathe kanjani emandi event bese siba netinkulumo letawuba khona ke lapha eMavuso Trade Center eMsakati ngoba ngiloko nje
Nembala bonke sithembe konke kuyahamba kahle ngo 2 minutes before 7 bengisike sitamthola ngalinye ilanga tawuteka lenza ba emabhoholo ukuthi yini ngasilama bhoholo atholwa ngile digwili todwa nje sivile singabe kuhamba njani kulelo hlanga silela sibathole emarket kongosi sitabuya ke singene entsabeni esibita lo black sea.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sende ukukhicita lokusembili.
Welcome to the second hour of this Friday edition of Kusile Breakfast Show. I am Lincoln Kule, many thanks for joining us. The Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Kusile stated that the office will actively seek out and hold accountable those who neglect the children and elderly mothers. Lada emphasized that the office aim is not to shame individuals, but rather to collaborate with electronic media platforms. The Deputy Prime Minister made these remarks while presenting the annual performance report for the year 2023-2024 to the Portfolio Committee in Senate.
When presenting the annual report to the Deputy Prime Minister's Portfolio Committee of the House of Senate, the Honorable Tulidladla highlighted that the government increased disability grants but was unable to increase elderly grants. Dladla revealed that the office has decided to address those who do not take responsibility for their children.
Sicele emajaha ethu la lahle bantwana babuyele bawubona abantwana sicele tinfombi tethu tihambe tiyobona abantwana sitawusebenza nemedia sibone ukuthi sikubeka kanjani lokho without humiliate abantu but ukuthi si-raise le awareness ekumcoka ukuthatha abantwana bakho ubanake ebantu bakho ubanake lokho sitakusebenza abahlonishwa against all odds. Nyalo nje already kulokucela kwethu bantwana babhalisile la over 4,000 lebe banze bangekho nje esikoleni bahleli ekhaya because esikolweni bathi ngeke ungene ude i-deposit. Manje ke i-problem yethu sibaka DPM besithi sitakwathi ngani thina ukuthi lo mphana uqoshiwe sibhadalele bani kanti umntwana uqoshiwe. Sicela ukuthi tikolwa atiba receive labantwana bangene bantwana baba register basitshele ukuthi naba bantwana benu ngaphala bantwana bayeta kithi sibabhalise bacele kuya esikolweni sibabhalise sisho ukuthi sidabanika i-grant.
Senators commended the Deputy Prime Minister for her dedication to addressing issues within her portfolio, particularly noting her efforts in the Ngwe for Growth exercise. The Deputy Prime Minister stated that the office successfully constructed 182 houses for the disadvantaged. Furthermore, the office provided an OVC grant for 58,000 orphans and vulnerable children, amounting to approximately 171 million emalangeni in spending. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Parliament.
Staying with the DPM's office, the Deputy Prime Minister Kusile says government of Eswatini is committed to support disaster preparedness measures. Dada says government needs to work on mitigation plans to ensure all sectors are able and not affected by climate change and natural disasters. The Deputy Prime Minister was speaking during a simulation exercise in Malinza.
The simulation exercise provides emergency response team, including the Emergency Preparedness and Rescue, Fire and Emergency Services, Royal Eswatini Police Service and Anti-Venom Association with the opportunity to refine their protocols, procedures, strategies and sensitize the public about key disaster risk reduction information. Speaking during the exercise, the Deputy Prime Minister, Honorable Thuli Dladla, says the kingdom, especially the Lubombo region, experiences disasters that damages crops and infrastructure.
Siphindze sibuke ukuthi sesiphila phansi kwalesimo lesikanje kufanele ukuthi singaze ini kufanele ukuthi senteni ukuze siqhubeke siphile kepha nje ngisho ukuthi letikhathi timatima utawuthe ekhaya wena utitshele ukuthi emasimini yolima lifike sangxoxo sishaye sibhubhise njalo kusibhubhisile tinzaweni letinyenti lifike lilanga libhubhise lisebhubhisile qhamuka litunjalo seliqhamuka nje setawusita kumbe etinkomo kulabo labanemfuyo kepha nje konke lokho ngeke sigcine ngekubuka endeme ukuthi sixwayisa njani kufanele ukuthi singihulumende siphinde futhi sibuke indlela ukuthi siphila njani kulesimo lesesikhona lesibhekene naso singumhlaba wonke jikelele baphindze ke basikhombisa nendzaba yetingoti tingoti setifuna kwenyuka futhi ngiyajabula nje ukuthi NDMA athi asikwendeni lokuxwayisa ngesilumbi bakubita lesikwenda bona mhlabathi simulation siyalinganisela ukuthi uma kwenteka info lenje kufanele ukuthi sibambe kanjani.
Sipho Dlamini, the chiefdom headman representing the Gamalinza chiefdom, says most road accidents are caused by stray cattle. Gamalinza residents were engaged on different topics such as the prevention of snake bites and road accidents. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Gamalinza.
The unemployment rate has increased by 2.1% in the Kingdom of Eswatini. It now stands at 35.4%. This was announced by the Minister for Labour and Social Security, Honorable Pilar Buthelezi, when announcing the results of the 2023 Labour Force Survey.
Colleagues, development partners and all our stakeholders in the economy, the labour market is at a crisis. We need to get the economy working again and reverse the gloomy picture painted by the figures we are here to share with you today. To give you some highlights, working age population increased from 790,862 to 793,614, leading to an increase to the labor force participation rate, hence a decline to those who are out of labor force. As we speak, the unemployment rate has increased by 2.1%, rising to 35.4%. In terms of sex, females have the highest unemployment rate of 37.6%, while males have 33.1%. Youth unemployment rate has decreased from 58.2% to 56%. The Kusile region has the highest youth unemployment rate at 71%. However, the proportion of youth not in employment, not in education, and not in training has increased from 35% to 36.7%.
The Honorable Minister of Education and Training, Owen Ngumalo, urges companies to assist and support vocational skills available in Eswatini, while the Honorable Minister of Labour, Preparedness, says when working together as a country, Eswatini can fight the high rate of unemployment. The ministers were delivering their speeches at Kwamile Vocational when receiving equipment from Taiwan.
The Republic of Taiwan is continuing in assisting Eswatini in vocational skills education. The ambassador of the Republic of Taiwan, Jeremy Liang, donated equipment that assist in improving vocational skills education at Kwamile Vocational. The Honorable Minister of Education and Training, Owen Ngumalo, and the Honorable Minister of Labour and Social Security, Phila Buthelezi, attended the project equipment donation. The Honorable Minister of Education and Training, Owen Ngumalo, mentioned that it is important for graduates to not only seek employment, but also create jobs and contribute to a vibrant business ecosystem.
The generous donation of state-of-the-art TVET equipment worth 5,070,362 emalangeni has been a game changer. These tools empower our students, trainers, and educators, enabling them to explore new horizons and embrace innovation.
The Honorable Minister of Labour and Social Security, Phila Buthelezi, says that the government of Eswatini is willing to assist.
The equipment will facilitate the acceleration of service delivery and minimize trade testing backlog in welding and automotive trades. The equipment here at Vocational is also assisting the Ministry of Labour and Social Security in conducting trade tests for welding and auto electrical. We are very grateful and appreciate Your Excellency for such a kind gesture.
Representing the ambassador of the Republic of Taiwan in Eswatini, Chin Ling, says that Taiwan will continue to support and assist Eswatini.
Taiwan and Eswatini collaborated, supported each other, and stood together as important partners. We have also boosted cooperation in variety areas. The robust cooperation between our two countries has yielded fruitful results and has promoted the well-being of both our peoples.
As it stands, there are 16 vocational skills in Eswatini, and when paid attention to, they can help reduce the high rate of unemployment in youth, since the rate of unemployment lies at 69%. Reporting in Siniswazwane, Smovashonge, Matapa.
Now moving further afield, Israeli forces killed 3 Palestinians and wounded another in an airstrike in the occupied West Bank city of Jenin on Wednesday, the Palestinian Health Ministry said, in what Israel's military said was an operation targeting Palestinian militants. Viewer discretion is advised on the following story.
Covered in the flag of Islamic Jihad, the body of Ahmad Barakat is carried through the streets of Jenin before burial. He was killed in a targeted strike by Israeli forces, who said he was the local commander of Islamic Jihad's military operations in the northern West Bank city. Jenin and its neighbouring refugee camp are the site of regular Israeli raids. It's considered a centre of Palestinian resistance.
The occupation believes that it can eliminate the resistance in Jenin with assassinations and airstrikes, but it's been unable to do so after 34 invasions into the camp. It thinks that by killing our heroes and leaders, it will cause confusion and create a vacuum.
What exactly happened, I don't know. I saw the car in front of me explode, a Citroen, a white car. It was right in front of me. I was really close. My car burst into flames. I opened the door, got out and saw their faces. May God have mercy on all the martyrs.
In parallel with its invasion of Gaza, Israel has been intensifying its raids in the occupied West Bank. The Palestinian Authority says more than 400 people have been killed by Israeli forces or settlers since October the 7th. Thousands more Palestinians have been arrested.
The United States has circulated a draft UN Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire linked to the release of hostages in the Gaza Strip. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said shortly after landing in Saudi Arabia on Wednesday on the first leg of a regional tour that will include Egypt on Thursday and then Israel. And indeed, he did arrive in Egypt last night. Anthony Blinken.
It's the US's attempt to negotiate a ceasefire and hostage release, but also increase humanitarian aid deliveries to Gaza. These are the priority aims of Antony Blinken's trip to the Middle East. After his first meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister in Jeddah, the Secretary of State gave an interview to a local media outlet, stressing the US's commitment to demanding a truce.
We actually have a resolution that we put forward right now that's before the United Nations Security Council that does call for an immediate ceasefire tied to the release of hostages, and we hope very much that countries will support that.
The US had previously vetoed UN Security Council votes on the conflict and had recently rejected the use of the term immediate in a draft submitted by Algeria. Blinken is meeting Arab foreign ministers and the Egyptian president in Cairo before heading to Tel Aviv on Friday. Meanwhile, ceasefire talks between Israeli officials and Hamas leaders, which had resumed in Qatar in recent days, have stalled again. A Hamas official in Lebanon says Israel is showing little indication of giving an imminent agreement.
The occupation's response was generally negative and does not respond to the aspiration of our people and their resistance.
Israel rejected Hamas's new ceasefire plan proposed on March 15th, saying it was based on unrealistic demands, as Benjamin Netanyahu launches plans to invade the city of Rafah, despite warnings from President Biden.
Russian airstrikes hit the center of Kiev early Thursday morning, causing frightened residents to take refuge. The Ukrainian military says it intercepted 31 Russian missiles, including 2 hypersonic Kusile, despite their air defensive strikes hit major Ukrainian city daily.
Russian airstrikes hit the center of Kyiv early Thursday morning, causing frightened residents to take refuge in the metro stations.
I woke up after the first explosion and ran. Then there was a second, very frightening explosion. If my son hadn't run, he would have been killed. Our whole apartment was destroyed. The blast blew away the furniture, the windows, the doors, everything. It's horrifying. Damn this war and damn Putin.
The Ukrainian military says it intercepted 31 Russian missiles, including 2 hypersonic Kinjal. This caused debris to fall in residential and industrial areas. Despite their air defenses, strikes hit major Ukrainian cities daily. On Wednesday, at least 4 people were killed in Kharkiv, spurring pleas for international help from the president.
Kharkiv needs adequate air defense systems. Sumy, Chernihiv, and all our regions suffering from Russian terror need it. Our partners have these defense systems. Our partners need to understand that air defense should be used to protect lives.
In Brussels, the European Union is discussing an increase in military aid. The EU is expected to allocate 50 billion euros in financing for Ukraine through 2027.
European Union leaders arrived at a summit on Thursday to discuss whether to use billions of euros in profits from frozen Russian financial assets to buy arms for Ukraine as they try to bolster Kyiv in its fight against Moscow's invasion.
Weapons could be bought for Ukraine thanks to Russian money.
under a new proposal by the European Commission that would see the profits generated from frozen Russian assets passed on to Kyiv, if and when the European member states approve the measure.
I hope that we can reach an agreement soon and change banknotes into weapons, because your soldiers don't fight with banknotes. They need physical arms. They need physical instruments in order to defend your people.
Some 210 billion euros of Russian central bank assets were frozen after Moscow invaded Ukraine in 2022. Now, the assets are held in various currencies in the 27-nation EU bloc. While the exact amount Ukraine will receive will depend on global interest rates, early figures suggest it will be around 2.5 to 3 billion euros per year, 90% of which will be managed by the European Peace Facility to buy arms. The remainder will go to recovery and reconstruction. The Ukrainian Prime Minister expressed his gratitude and also asked for more.
We insist on the full confiscation of other use of all frozen assets, body of frozen Russian assets. Europe and the world need an effective precedent for making the aggressor pay a heavy price for the destruction it has caused in Ukraine.
Meanwhile, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman labelled the move as direct banditism and theft and claimed that it would be an unprecedented violation of fundamental norms.
France's Senate on Thursday overwhelmingly voted against a free trade agreement between the EU and Canada, thanks to an unusual alliance in the upper house between left and right-wing opponents on French President Emmanuel Macron.
Outside the Senate, farmers and unions, few but determined, all denouncing CETA. At the same time, massive rejection in the Senate. CETA, that aims for free trade between Canada and the European Union, lowers customs duties by 98%. Applied provisionally for 7 years, but debated for the first time in the Senate by the initiative of the Communists.
An agreement which creates unfair competition for our farmers, as the mere clauses, despite your lies, are not included in the 2,344 pages of the agreement.
Rejected by the left, but also the Republicans.
We want free trade, but you know very well that this is damaging our farmers.
The executive has tried to camouflage the damage by noting CETA is responsible for an increase of 33% of French exports. So what is the future of this agreement? The government is grouping to resend it to the House of Representatives, who voted for it in 2019.
We need to supply the needed debate to provide concrete details so when the moment comes, the National Assembly can ratify the agreement.
But there's no date confirmed. The Communists say they'll put it to the National Assembly on the 30th of May. If the Senate and the National Assembly reject CETA, the government can notify it to the European Union and it will cease to operate. If, on the other hand, it isn't notified to the EU, CETA could continue to operate. A touchy subject for Europeans.
The U.S. Department of Justice is suing Apple for allegedly breaking monopoly laws. More than a dozen states have joined the Justice Department in filing the antitrust lawsuit. The docs claim Apple has used anti-competitive tactics such as degrading how Android messages appear on iPhones.
Accusing Apple of holding a chokehold on competition and stalling innovation in the smartphone market, the US Justice Department is suing the company for allegedly breaking monopoly laws.
The complaint makes clear that for years, Apple has tightened its grip on the smartphone market. It has done so not through product improvements, but by maintaining a chokehold on competition.
More than a dozen states have joined the Justice Department in filing the antitrust lawsuit. The DOJ claims Apple has used anti-competitive tactics, such as degrading how Android messages appear on iPhones and hindering competing smartwatches. It also says consumers are paying unfairly high prices for stock.
Consumers should not have to pay higher prices because companies break the law. We allege that Apple has employed a strategy that relies on exclusionary, anti-competitive conduct that hurts both consumers and developers.
Apple responded in a statement saying,
"This lawsuit threatens who we are and the principles that set Apple products apart in a fiercely competitive market. If successful, it would hinder our ability to create the kind of technology people expect from Apple, where hardware, software, and services intersect."
Apple joins corporate rivals sued by US regulators, including Google, Meta, and Amazon, across the Trump and Biden.
India's main opposition Congress party accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday of crippling it before the upcoming general elections by freezing its accounts in an income tax case.
An accusation directed at India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On Thursday, the country's main opposition, the Congress party, claimed that its bank accounts had been frozen by the government.
All our bank accounts have been frozen. We can do no campaign work. We cannot support our workers. We cannot support our candidates. Our leaders cannot fly from one part of the country to the other. Forget fly, they can't take a railway train.
It's not the first time Modi and his ruling BJP party have been accused of stifling democracy. In December, 141 opposition MPs were suspended for protesting against a parliamentary security breach. The BJP was quick to deny the latest accusations, saying that Congress was guilty of tax evasion, adding that its bank accounts were partially frozen because it had failed to file an income tax return for cash donations, therefore losing the tax exemption available to political parties. Reacting on social media, the president of the BJP, JP Nadda, accused the opposition of moral bankruptcy.
Congress is going to be totally rejected by the people, and fearing a historic defeat, their top leadership addressed a press conference and ranted against Indian democracy and institutions. They are conveniently blaming their irrelevance on financial troubles. In reality, their bankruptcy is moral and intellectual, not financial.
A 6-week-long general election will begin on the 19th of April. Voting will stretch over 7 phases, with different states voting at different times. Results are to be announced in early June, with most polls predicting a victory for Modi and the BJP.
Venezuela's Attorney General Tariq Sayab said on Wednesday that 2 people close to opposition candidate Maria Corina Machado had been arrested, prompting Machado to call the charges leveled at her team completely false.
It's the latest setback to Maria Machado's presidential ambitions. On Wednesday, Venezuela's top prosecutor issued arrest warrants for 9 allies of Machado, Venezuela's opposition leader, including her campaign manager.
We have unveiled a series of conspiracies, threats and actions whose common denominator is the intention to sow violence and chaos in the country and to make attempts on the life of the president, Nicolás Maduro. For all of the aforementioned, in this new plot, the Public Prosecutor's Office has requested 9 arrest warrants.
It comes weeks after Venezuela's top court upheld a ban which bars Machado from holding office for 15 years. Machado, who has been polling ahead of Maduro, strongly denounced the move, describing the accusations against her team as completely false.
Clearly, the regime wants to close the path to change, the path to peaceful freedom. They want to close it because they know they are defeated, because there is no way they can win an election against us. This is not an electoral process. This is a shameful attempt to shut down the electoral process.
Washington also condemned the move and said it violated a free and fair elections deal last year, which led to the US easing some sanctions. With no guarantee that her ban will be overturned, Machado is facing pressure to name an alternative candidate to register by the deadline on Monday.
There is a growing risk of conflict over water as climate change takes hold, according to the United Nations, which marks World Water Day today. Meanwhile, aid agency Oxfam accuses global corporations of grabbing water from poorer countries to boost profits.
In Johannesburg, South Africa, the taps are running dry. The city has seen a collapse of its water system, affecting millions of people. In Soweto, on the outskirts of the city, thousands line up to collect water from tankers every day.
It has been a serious challenge, a very challenging time for my age, that I have to be here carrying these 20-litre buckets. And the sad thing is that we don't know when our tap's going to be wet again.
Crumbling infrastructure is partly to blame, but scientists say climate change is causing rivers and reservoirs to dry up in South Africa and many other parts of the world. As the United Nations marks World Water Day on Friday, it's estimated that 2.2 billion people live without safely managed drinking water. UN scientists say roughly half of the world's population is experiencing severe water scarcity for at least part of the year, with poorer nations in the global south or developing countries the most affected. In a new report, the aid agency Oxfam accuses major global corporations of grabbing and polluting vital water resources at the expense of local populations in order to make profits.
Water is overused by northern countries and is depriving southern countries from access to water.
Oxfam accuses richer countries and multinationals of shifting water pressure to poorer regions by extracting water from natural sources for industrial or agricultural use and through the import of water-intensive products like fruit, vegetables, meat, flowers and bottled water. The report says agriculture accounts for 70% of water withdrawals, including through irrigation systems to support the meat industry and biofuels. But Oxfam's analysis suggests the private sector is failing to reduce its impact on water resources.
350 corporations that have been analyzed through that database, which counts for like half of the world agricultural revenue. Only one of the four of them are declaring they are reducing water use and pollution.
The UN is warning this year of the growing risk of conflict over water. It says that as nations manage climate change, mass migration and political unrest, they must put water cooperation at the heart of their plans.
Now in our sports news, Eswatini 200 meters sprinter Swazi Bolt Matsenjwa alongside Bongio Matlalela, they both qualified for the finals in their respective races in the ongoing All Africa Games in Ghana.
Athletes Subsiso Matsenjwa and Bongio Matlalela continue to make the country proud at the ongoing All Africa Games after they both qualified for the 200 meters semi-finals. Matsenjwa finished third in his heat after using 21.9 seconds to proceed to the finals, while Matlalela used 23.9 seconds to proceed to the finals. On Friday, the games continue with the Taekwondo team also among the athletes to take center stage. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabiso Msonera, Babani.
Congratulations to Matsenjwa and Bongio, and we do believe they will hoist the country's flag high in the finals. Well, after the break, Shumnagbili will sit down with Fabrice Msonera. I'm sure they will be talking about that race. One of them is a basketball wannabe. One of them is an former under-20 Rwandan international. We'll take a short break, then all things sport with Fabrice Msonera.
Sanibingelela malangela mahle siyakhuleka lonke live ngahambi ngethwana ngihamba naye the fish korile fish lethu wabantwana unjalo mngani wami
hayi ngiphele saka mngani wami
haleluya
awutshele simanga ngoba sihlelo selushintshele lungena ngabani
ushintshile mngani wami awukabona
ungaboni
oh Paul ushintshile mngani wami yangena Saturday 4:30 malangeni lamasha yangena hlelo
bese luhlelo luphinzwa ngalesine nga12 yelele azi yours.
Semnikadi as already did. Sathi nje uthi sibongela kakhulu uBoswazi Bolt ekuthenini they hoisted the country's flag high. We also want to take a moment again ukuthi nesihlangu semnikadi sente njalo sashaya eSomalia eMorocco emagoli lamathathu ecanzeni. Sifuna ukudiscussana nang Fabrice. Fabrice, welcome to the program. Very happy to have you today. You know, a lot of our games are on break, but breaking just lang semnikadi siyaqhubeka, and I believe this is one of the reasons why nalakhaya the league imile nje kancane. Personally, I want to celebrate le win against Somalia. Somalia is not a team that is difficult to beat.
Personally,
Oh, and yes, of course, and I know you probably have an alternative view there. For me, every game that you win is a good win. You know, regardless of you know, the strength of your opponent. What are your sentiments against Somalia? Because coach was Somalia, second leg, they are confident they will turn things.
It's a good one, Fiso, because it's a fact. It's a national team. Now we need to win it. That we should celebrate. But what are we doing to ensure that as a country we move from the first stage of playing preliminary stages and qualify actually for AFCON? That's where the $1 million question is. Beautiful victory away in Morocco, where I think in an interview you even mentioned that Eswatini, in Morocco, especially the students, they played a crucial role in supporting the team during their 3-0 victory. It's a comfortable win. I mean, we're 148 FIFA rankings, they're 192, so you would expect maybe that it will provide a better performance. But quite improved. Nangbuga, the lineup he used, Nangbuga, the performance of the players, Nangbuga, the partnership of the players,
quality of the goals.
Yeah, the quality of the goals. I have no doubt that the second leg they can maintain another 3-0 because there's just too much. They're just they're above. The quality is just, they're too ahead of Somalia. Nangbuga, Figueiredo just joined them 2 nights prior to the game. Nkoli is the same thing from Botswana. So you look at how they link. Then you've got our local players who are already doing well. Your Skadi, defensive-wise, Boko, Bakona, Slang, all these players, Ngamiso, goalkeeper of Green Mamba. So you then get to see where we are. And remember what we said the other time. If your league is doing very well, chances are, chances are even the national team is likely to get better results. So no doubt, choose the return match. We could have the same.
Is our
results.
league doing very well?
Currently, the competitiveness, when I'm looking at the competition, where we are in terms of competition, then it brings up the best out of the players. If the competition is high, then it brings the best out of the players. So come Tuesday, the return match in Bombay, I have no doubts we could display the same results. But I want to see better. I want to see now as getting to the group stages, that for us celebrating the preliminary stage, it's a little bit premature. We should be happy, but let's not get out of hand. We want to qualify for AFCON.
I guess we'll take it one game at a time.
Yeah,
We'll celebrate every win that we'll get along the road, because it's a competition at the end of the day. And if you win, you have won. You know, that calls for a celebration.
Yeah, winning is winning, yeah.
Come Tuesday, return to Mbombela, but I want us to return domestic league, which I know, there aren't currently any games, but we can still look at the log standings and look at what may possibly happen. Nasibuya, just, Young Buffaloes still up there, Real Leopards, second position, Green Mamba, who were favorites for a lot of people when the season started, on the third position. You look at their record for their last 5 games, it's not really impressive, with the 2 losses, a draw, and 2 wins. Real Leopards do not want to get a loss, but Young Buffaloes, with that loss, they are still able to get wins in every other game that they play. Currently, at the first position with 35 points. They are not sitting comfortably, because obviously Real Leopards and Mbabane and Green Mamba rather 34 points. Mbabane Swallows as well. I want to hear your predictions with the few remaining games that are left. What should we expect? Is Young Buffaloes really in a position to sustain that?
I'm not trying to compare the leagues, but you know that I think more than 20-30 leagues in Africa, it's where, remember, in England, number 1, number 3, the difference is 2 points. But in Africa, this is the first league, I think, the last time I checked, where the difference between number 1 and number 4, it's 1 point. Like I said,
does that mean the league is competitive? Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah, it is a good thing. Like that's what I say. There is even a reflection on the national team, Sihlang, because then if you've got players, because majority of the players within the national team, they're coming from number 1, number 4. Majority. I think you'll have maybe one player from Ilovo and Manzini Sipets, but the rest, number 1, number 4, they're coming from Sihlang, they're coming from number 1, number 4. It shows the competitiveness of the league. If the difference is just a point. And remember, we're left to only have with how many games? That's 7 games before conclude the game. That's 21 points. So 21 points, anything can happen between number 1 and number 4. They keep changing. And okay, you once asked me what I think, but I have a problem because this is also the same thing they're saying in England about the 2 teams, Liverpool and Manchester. But I have the problem also with maybe Mbabane Swallows to say Buffaloes recently, they have been at this stage where they went all the way and took the league. Leopard, they have showed us that prior to COVID and after COVID, they're capable of doing that. Green Mamba, the defending champions. But I've got maybe question marks to say, can Swallows actually go all the way, under pressure? They have the final of the Ngwenyama Cup, which I think when you come from the international break, that's the first thing that will be played because, the international break ends next weekend. So then you ask yourself, can Swallows, handle the pressure in the remaining 7 games and not concede? Then there is question marks there. But for Buffaloes, they've got what it takes now. They're out of the Ngwenyama Cup. They have only the league. Same applies to Leopard. So number 3 and number 4, they have got something to prove. Green Mamba number 3, they have showed us that they can do it. They're the defending champion of the league. They're the defending champion of the Ngwenyama Cup. Yes, they can go all the way and take both trophies. But I'm not sure, I'm not convinced enough that Caleb Ngwenya and the boys can go all the way and take both trophies. But for Buffaloes and Leopard, what a breather. They just have got the league because they're out of the inaugural Ngwenyama Cup. At the bottom, like I said, one of the Manzini team, the 2 teams actually from Manzini will be relegated. It's between Denver, Manzini Wanderers, and Monani Pirates. 2 of them are going. I'm not saying it's Wanderers, I'm not saying it's Monani Pirates, but 2 of those 3 teams are going down into the first division.
Monani Pirates is going down.
Yeah, it's a thing. Anything can change in the remaining 7 games. You never know, because for the longest time they were at the bottom of the table. Look where they are between them and number 11. It's just 2 points. I mean, it's a point actually. It tells you that
they are the only team in that bottom 4 that have gotten a win in their last 5 games.
Another thing maybe to highlight, Rangers is not safe, because if we say that the remaining games are 7, that's 21 points to play for.
Yeah.
So the team that is safe is Manzini Sipets because they are above 21. They've got 22 points. So Manzini Sipets is safe. Even if they can lose the remaining games of the season, they will not be relegated. But from Rangers up to number 14, anyone can go there. Rangers is still not safe.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Eswatini United is getting relegated. Can we agree on that?
Chances are. I'm looking at the remaining games they have. I'm looking at, yes, we have reports that now they have signed a former Manzini Wanderers and Monini Pirates coach, Ikabo Masocha, from Zimbabwe, and apparently penned down the contract. But this is another thing that I don't like. How do you get someone who failed to convince at Pirates, at Wanderers, and you think he's going to do better at your place? They're just question marks. I mean, go for something better. Look where they are ranked. They are both in the red. But
something better like what?
Like a different coach. There are coaches that are seated, licensed. If you want a coach, go get a different coach. Not to undermine Ikabo Masocha.
It's the experience,
I think, that comes not to undermine Ikabo Masocha. He's a very good coach, a tactician. But if he has failed to beat the teams that you are competing, to improve the teams that you are competing with, like your Wanderers and your Denver and your Monani Pirates, then what makes you think he's going to do better at your club?
Yeah, before we look into the international friendlies, because we're already talking about, some of the log standings, I want us to go to the English Premier League because you've compared it to our league. It is just as competitive, I'd say even better, you know, Fabrice, looking at its current...
This is better, Swiss.
No,
number one, number four, they've got a point.
Number one and number two in the EPL have the same equal points.
But Swiss, 4 teams
Number
are
three is
separated
just
by
a point behind number one and number two. So it's actually more impressive than this.
No, Swiss, I don't think so.
Fabrice?
It's 3 teams, here it's 4
Arsenal
teams.
is 64 points.
Yes.
Liverpool
is
64 points.
Uh-huh.
Man City 63 points. Isn't that impressive?
Let me show you why this is impressive. Young Buffaloes is 35 points. Number 2, number 3, number 4, they are all 34. Number 2, number 3, number 4, they are all 34. So, and remember, what is exciting, locally we don't look at head-to-head. In England, they look at, locally we look at head-to-head.
Right.
How they played. Between Green Mamba and Swallows, how did they play? In England, they look at the difference in terms of goals. Arsenal is on top because they have scored more goals. But in locally...
Scoring more goals is not easy. So
yes, it's not easy, but this is impressive. So Green Mamba Swallows, they have played a draw twice. 1-1 and 0-0. Now, we go to the scrutiny to say, when they played 1-1, who was hosting? Who was hosting? Swallows was hosting.
Yeah.
I mean, Green Mamba was hosting. Then they're on top of Mbabane Swallows. That is exciting.
That's fair, but
this is marvelous.
Let's go to the English Premier League. I want us to have enough time to discuss all these things because they are really interesting.
Yeah,
and we ought to discuss them. When the league returns, and it's going to be match day 30 of 38, I think it's only how many games left now? 8 games.
8 games.
8 games,
yeah.
indeed. The biggest test for Arsenal is going to be on the 31st of March, and it's next week, Sunday. They face Manchester City. Manchester City is just, now in the third position, 63 points. You want to be really excited for this game, and particularly what it really means for the league in terms of, viewership and all of that. These are they're in the top 3 most ranked team right now in the English Premier League, Arsenal and Manchester City. What is going to happen in that game? Is Arsenal going to be able to sustain their record and, be in that first position there?
So these are the things I was saying to say. Liverpool, when they lifted a trophy in 2019, they handled the pressure. And City have been doing this for the past 3 years. City, from March, in the past 2 to 3 seasons, they have gone and all the way and win all 12 games. We've seen that happening. But the question mark is that, can Arsenal do that? But also to answer the question, they have improved. They are still not the same team that failed to do that last season.
Yep.
Media in England and on the entire world, they've got a way of putting pressure on clubs to see how much stronger they can get. I think for City, we've seen that they went all the way. Every time you put pressure on them, they went all the way. They won 3 trophies. But can the so-called young Arsenal team do that? They have improved mentally, strength and everything. Players who were injured, they are back in the remaining 8 games. Mind games all the way this past weekend, where players were called into the national team. Midweek, we hear some of the players are returning, including the Bukayo Saka and Brazilian also Gabriel, claiming that there was an injury, but now he's back fitness. So these are the things that then, when preparing for a game that is probably a lifetime game. But because I want to clear that the game between Arsenal and Manchester City have got 70% chances of telling us who's going to win the league between the 3 teams.
Certainly.
Yeah, because if you look at the remaining games for all the 3 teams, Arsenal has got the heaviest fixture compared to other teams, because Arsenal still need to play their North London rivals, Tottenham. They still have to Manchester United. They still have Aston Villa. These are big games.
And in all those big games, the toughest one will be the City game.
The toughest is the City game. But winning the game as well, it will bring that confidence. We will see, actually, we can go all the way. Because now we're talking about, since January, they have not lost a game. That is impressive. They have not drawn a game. They have not lost a game.
Right.
That is impressive. Can they now move from March to May? It is possible. But the key element is to go to Etihad and win. We're not talking about a draw, because a draw, Liverpool, when Arsenal play Manchester City, Liverpool play Brighton. And then if they get the 3 points, then they are above them. That is 66 points. When don't want to hear a draw between City and Manchester City. If Manchester City want to take the league, let them take 3 points. That's where we are now. If Arsenal want to take the league, let them get 3 points because that's the time of the season. This is where you need to see the oil, the machine, being active. There have been news disturbing the camp of both teams. Even Erling Haaland claiming that he was injured during a training with Norway, but he's good, he's fresh, he's going to be featuring that game if nothing happens between now and then. But come 31st May, that is going to be a Sunday, next week Sunday, I think this is a game that is going to change a lot. It will decide everything that has to do with this.
Who do you have your money on? Because I have my money on Arsenal, just based purely on what you have said. They haven't lost a game since January. They've won their last 5 games. The only team in the log that has won their last 5 games. The only team that has won 20 games this season. Every other team has won less games. And for me, that record alone and just how they look in terms of, the health of the players and the motivation that they have.
They're a scary side, I agree, a scary side. But I've been sitting and thinking about it, looking at the players. City is not the same, by the way. I know Manchester City supporters don't like hearing this, but I feel like losing Gundogan, they haven't been the same in that midfield. Yes, there is Rodri, and there is KDB, Kevin De Bruyne. But I think the absence of Gundogan from last season to where they are today, you can easily crack their midfield. They are still not that strong the way they are. Home soil, I think looking at the current form of the team, if it's not a draw, I think on home soil, City have a chance, they can do. Then I've been actually getting questions, who do I think will win the league? Yeah, and I think
here's
I'm not
another
convinced with Liverpool because of the youth squad they have. They still
They
need
just
to
lost
get,
to Manchester United in the FA
they still
Cup.
need to.
They want to win something for Klopp. They want to give him a good film.
I think City are returning it for the 4th time in a row. I think City can do that. Then
You're counting Liverpool out?
Yeah,
why are you counting Arsenal out?
I'm looking at the games they have. I'm looking at the pressure. Yeah, it's pressure.
Wouldn't you say that's the same thing for Manchester City? The mere fact that they are playing Arsenal.
Because they have showed us that they can do that. But Arsenal,
you just said they're not the same. They lost Gundogan.
Yeah.
And Arsenal looks good.
In terms of performance, now they concede. Before it was hard for them to concede.
But they still win.
Yeah, they still win. For now, they just still win. I think for Arsenal, they just need. There's that issue of clinicalness at some point. Yes, they're scoring goal, but there are days. If you look at the game against Brentford, that 2-1, it was more margins, but they have improved, but not to the level where I think they can take it from City. I think City, have got the capability to go all the way for the 4th time in a row. Something we've never actually seen. I think the team to do it was Manchester and Newcastle 3 times. I think 4 times it's going to be a chance to show that they are capable. And I think they can do that. And Arsenal will be second. There are games that I'm worried that if I look at them, your Aston Villa, your Tottenham, your Manchester United, yes, you might say they're not doing well at this point in time, but these are the games that will require so much energy from these teams. And remember, you still have the Champions League. You still have the Champions League to also give the full attention. So I think they will crack at some point.
It's make or do for Arsenal this season. They have so many great opportunities to win it all, if you think about it. And at the same time, lose it all. Losing it all at the stage that they are in would be really painful for Arsenal fans, particularly looking at the fact that even last year, how they started, they were looking really good, and everything that then transpired towards the end. Really pleasing
and I think for Liverpool, one thing I've noticed is that after that defeat against Manchester United in the FA Cup, you might start seeing a different performance because they're not really. I'm happy that the young boys are improving, but they're also not using the chances they have to maximize.
Right.
I give them the Europa League. They can take the Europa League. They can take a look at the teams that are remaining in the Europa League, but I don't think they have got what it takes to take this trophy from Arsenal and Manchester City. And I think it's between City and Arsenal. And once it becomes between City and Arsenal, then you get that, you've got that, consistency and that energy and that experience of City who can do both the Champions League and still do the Premiership. So that's where I think City have got the difference, small margins. And I think once the media is here, once there's too much talk, there are players who can handle the pressure at Arsenal. Talk about the likes of Declan Rice, all these players. But I still feel like there are some players that they will require some, psychological, consistency.
Right.
Because otherwise, performance-wise, outstanding, but they shouldn't crack. The pressure is mounting.
That's a lot of investment in terms of money for
Yeah.
Arsenal, and I'm sure they will invest into that in making sure their players are healthy, they are fit, they are well rested, they're getting the right food, and all of that even psychologically. Fabrice, 6 minutes left, a lot of ground to cover. Let's look at some of the international friendly matches that are going on. Brazil is going to face England tomorrow at 9 p.m. France is facing Germany at 10 p.m. I'm selecting those two because I feel like they will have the biggest viewership, and they are the most exciting games. What are we looking at in terms of Brazil versus England in particular? Are we looking at England possibly securing a win against Brazil?
It's a funny thing because even if you were to ask head coach Gareth Southgate, English coach, I don't think all the English teams who are fighting for the title somehow would want their players to feature in both games.
Yeah.
You might have Watkins, Aston Villa striker, he might play, but for Bayern Munich that is still fighting for Champions League and still fighting for Bundesliga, and as much as Leverkusen is ahead, you wouldn't want to see Kane playing the entire 90 minutes and come on Tuesday play the entire minute. And that's why we've had the likes of Saka withdrawing. Rice can give you that. He's not an injury prone. He can play the entire minute, play Tuesday the entire minute, and come back and still play against City. There are players you look at and say they can do that, but there are other players where you have to put question marks. And I don't think City would love to see Foden, who are in the best form of his life, playing the entire time. Liverpool, I don't think they want to see Gomez playing the entire time. These are friendlies, yes. These are the last friendlies prior to the Euros. So I'm looking forward to see some good players in terms of what Brazil can offer. Obviously, the likes of Vinicius will be playing for Brazil and everyone. But it's a good one. You would watch it because of the status of the nations. These are powerhouse in football industry. But do you really want to risk your players for a friendly? For France and Germany, it makes sense
pride.
as well.
I guess it's always pride when it comes to international friendlies. Because I'm also thinking about Germany against France. You look at
Toni Kroos is back after 3 years. It's quite impressive. I think for Madrid fans, they were complaining. They say they want him fit, but I don't think he's going to be injured as well. He will take it easy. But I think, what a friendly. Friendlies, by the way, we have this weekend. Ireland, Belgium, another one. Malawi, Kenya. This is also this side of the Africa. But like you said, the big ones, England, Brazil, and France and Germany.
France and Germany. You look at the last head-to-head between France and Germany, the last 5 games, France was able to secure 2 wins. They had 2 draws. Germany only got 1 win. Germany is not the same as, the Germany that we grew up watching.
I think more than anything, they still don't have the academies that used to produce some of the best players, especially Bayern Munich. I haven't seen, good players in the recent 3 to 4 years. I think players that came out of the academy who are still playing. You look at Kimmich, you look at Emmanuel Neuer, the goalkeeper. You look at Müller. These are the academy players, but they still don't produce. They have also adopted the system of the so-called big powerhouse, Madrid and Barcelona, of buying stars from outside the country. Before, we used to see Bayern Munich with 6 to 7 German players who were born in Germany, who grew up in Germany, but now it's different. So I think they still don't produce what you used to see. Because if you look at now the team they have, you've got close to 8 players who are playing outside Germany. And before, there used to be a nation where majority they play inside Germany. You've got Rudiger, you've got the likes of Toni Kroos. All these players are playing Gundogan. All these players are playing outside Germany, which is different from what you used to see during the time of Michael Ballack. All these players, Oliver Kahn, they used to have the best in Germany.
It used to be a blockbuster indeed. Fabrice, perhaps Sesvalanje, I want to hear your sentiments. I asked LinkedIn when we started the show today, what is happening in Brazil, and all these stories. Robinho now, remember Ronaldinho also had the same stories. Dani Alves currently going through the same issues. What is it really that is wrong in Brazil, and are we going to keep on hearing more stories about some of these guys that we wanted to consider legends? I
wanted to update quickly on the Alves issue. He was supposed to be out on bail, £1 million, but Ucine Alales because the Neymar's father is supposed to raise the money due to the friendship. So when they grew up, actually, if you
Dani
check,
Alves doesn't have $1 million.
yeah, let's not go there. But Neymar's father supposed to raise the funds to get to 858 euros, 1,000 euros, close to £1 million. So then ended up not getting able to raise the funds. So ugcine vele nayitolo angakhona ukuphuma. But and then all of a sudden their lifestyle changes. Then you ask yourself even why now the Brazilians we have today's FISO, the career does not go beyond 29 to 30 years. A Brazilian now shines from the age of 17, but by the time he's 26, he's not the same. Look at Vinicius. Okay. Vinicius, you look at him, you think he's been performing for 5 years.
We need to close the show. But yeah, Dani Alves was £47 million net worth. That was the net worth. Now he's bankrupt. He doesn't have $1 million to get out of jail. It's quite anyway, we've come to the end of the program. Particularly le responsible about drink and driving cases. Monday,